Well, welcome to our first Friday at the Fab Lab for May. We're super excited to have Donnie Coreya of AfterShokz with us here tonight. We're doing a recorded interview because he couldn't make it with us on Friday, but we're super excited to have him with us. We love their bone conductive headphones that we're going to be talking a little bit about tonight. With us too is Scott Ertz of Plug Hits Productions, and he's going to be doing the interview with Donnie since he made the introduction for us after meeting and speaking with Donnie at CES earlier this year, which we just realized was like 5 months ago. How that happened is amazing. But the headphones are absolutely fantastic. And during National Inventors Month, we thought this was a really great time to talk about some of these technologies. And I'm wearing them here. They're under my massive headdress. And I really enjoy them. And we talked a little bit before about, some of the advantages of it. And I'm going to let you guys take it further from there. But welcome, Donnie. Thank you for joining us. AMRoC is happy you're here. And by all means, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about it, and Scott can carry the conversation from here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's fun, and yeah, I'm super happy that we were able to connect at CES, Scott, and we were able to have this talk again. Yeah, it was really fun. Hopefully I'm a little bit less nervous this time, but yeah. So yeah, I like you said, I'm Donnie from AfterShokz. We make open ear bone conduction headphones, so similar to the one that Terry was wearing, or the one I'm wearing too, which is called Open Com. Yeah, Scott's got it up there in this cam. But basically, we were created in 2011, and our goal was to provide a safer, more comfortable listening experience to primarily runners was the beginning, because whenever you're outside, you're running, you want to be able to hear your surroundings while still listening to your music, or for those that like cycle as well or just commute, we just wanted to give everybody just a safer alternative to the in-ear, over-the-ear headphones. And then fast forward to, what was that, 10 years now? We've basically just adopted from our original wired headset to our Bluetooth, and now we're going into like communication and some like hearing devices and all that stuff. Like we're really just like expanding on the technology. So that's kind of where we are now. But yeah, thanks again for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So during CES, you and I talked about the fact that obviously I've been following the company for a while. Since then, I have realized that we actually had your company on in 2012 at CES.
Whoa.
Yeah. I actually found the interview from 2012, which I thought was fascinating. But, it's been a decade. Who remembers who you interviewed in 2012?
Yeah.
And it wasn't me, it was Todd. But that means I've basically been following your journey almost since the beginning.
Yeah.
And the company has come a long way in that time, while, like you said, still staying true to the technology, which as people can see on your picture, they sit very differently from regular earbuds. So what's the importance of that difference?
Yeah, it's mostly number one is definitely safety for us, and then also just like the comfort. So we have like a lot of people, I guess this kind of falls into safety and comfort, but a lot of people say like that they don't like the over-the-ear headphones. It'll cause like irritation or just like hurts over time or anything like that. People, the same thing with like the in-ear. Like we see a lot of people running. It's kind of like a joke, like running with like AirPods, for example, and like one of them will like always fall out. You have to like catch it. Hopefully it doesn't break when it hits the ground. It's really like that. It's mostly just like the safety, the comfort is like number one, number two, and then also just like it just keeps you more connected to your everything, like to your work calls, to your conversations, to the people around you. Like there's no like awkward like having to take anything out. Like you don't miss anything. It's like connecting with your world with your audio kind of.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's definitely an advantage here at AMRoC because I'm actually sitting here in our box office. It's literally a box. But you know, I can hear what's going on outside. If we have students here and we have, you know, mentors and other people working, I can have a meeting. I can, you know, like this, and I can, you know, or I could be listening to a webinar. I could be on a call with somebody. But I still can hear what's going on the outside. I can still have that conversation. If somebody pops up here and wants to ask me a question out front, I can, you know, mute and field it or whatever. But I don't feel like I'm missing anything important or critical or dangerous that could be going on, because we also have a shop here and we need to be able to hear at the shop. So
I'm not going to lie. I use them oftentimes I use them inverted from their intention. Hopefully nobody from work is listening and about to figure out my trick. I'll be on a call, you know, these long nothing calls, right? And so I'll have that through my speakers, but I'll have these on and I'll be listening to music or a TV show or something, and only I can hear it because A, bone conduction, and B, open ear. I can still hear if something does happen on the meeting that matters. I can still chime in, but I don't have to be 100% focused on it. So I use it completely the opposite, but with the same result. I'm still fully aware of what's happening around me. I'm enjoying the thing that I want to enjoy, and, you know, putting up with the thing that I don't.
yeah, and the range is excellent on them. I mean, I walk all around in here. We have 7,500 square foot space, and I can walk, you know, all the way around the facility in the back and get food. I can be listening to. I actually did that. You know, all our dark secrets come out, and I was on a class call, and I could hear it, you know. And I walked, and I, you know, got something to eat and something to drink, and came back, and, you know, I never missed anything. And it's really wonderful. It's really, really nice, you know. So.
Yeah. No, I guess to add to one of the dark secrets is, like, I definitely have been double booked sometimes by mistake. So I have, like, the one call playing through, like, my headset through my laptop. That's more of like a Teams call, so it isn't, like, as important. No offense to anyone here at AfterShokz who are watching it. And then I'll have a call going through the open comm. I'll, like, mute myself, hop between the calls if I got to talk. It messes with my head because it's so weird that you can hear, like, both going on. But yeah, it's definitely a totally different and unique listening experience. It's really cool tech for sure.
And the thing that I find fascinating about them is the sound quality. You would suspect that something, at least, you know, without thinking too deeply about how sound works, of course, because sound is an illusion and it's all vibrations anyway. So it does make sense. But when you start talking about, you know, you think, okay, bone conduction. I remember the old Jabra headsets and stuff like that, or Jawbone, and they were okay, but they didn't sound like my other headphones. These do.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, without spilling too much info, hopefully a new product coming out early next year will surprise you even more. Let's just say we're looking at other solutions to offer with bone conduction. It's very interesting. I was lucky enough to get a sample actually this week, and I've been trying them out for a few days. Obviously can't wear it on the call because it's you know, it's low key, but yeah, it's total different listening experience, and it definitely brings, like, the low end and the bass, like, up tremendously. It's
nice.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to that conversation at CES next year. I hope.
Yeah.
And maybe in person.
Yeah.
Since CES is supposed to be partially in person.
I know. Yeah. I'm hoping so. I'll be there. I was lucky enough to get vaccinated, so hopefully, knock on wood, we'll be there. Yeah, it'd be fun.
Good. Well,
so can you tell us a little something about how they work? I mean, so a lot of our listeners are, you know, students and other people who may not have any working knowledge of the technology.
Yeah, for sure. So just like what Scott said, you know, sound works off of vibration. That's very similar to how our headphones work. So I'll give, like, the shorter answer, and then I'll go in a little bit more of, like, I guess, the detail tech too for those that are interested. I was lucky enough to go to China before COVID. It was 2019, and I met with the engineers, and they kind of showed, like, how it's called transducers. Those are the things that sit right here that vibrate, and how, like, all that works. So the short answer, the pitch is that they work off of vibration that goes through your cheekbone, and then it'll go into your inner ear and your cochlea. So this will produce like little tiny vibrations. That's the sound, and that's how it goes through. It goes bone into your inner ear, and that's how you're hearing it. So there's no like eardrum. There's no like So basically, there's no eardrum, which is what like ear canal, which is what the like traditional air conduction headphones go through. It's a totally different listening experience. And I can send you guys a little diagram if you want to see it. It breaks it down really, really well. But that's like the short answer. The longer answer is there are moving magnets on the inside that'll vibrate to one another, and then that's kind of like how they generate the sound. And there's, little, I guess, perforations, like little holes in it kind of, that stop it from basically like exploding or breaking. But yeah, there's like magnets that look like this, and they go like this, boom, 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 and they'll like vibrate together. And that's basically how it transmits the sound. So that's how the sound's created. Then it goes through the transducer and back through that tunnel I just mentioned.
It was originally here, or often he uses a hearing aid technology, right? Is it also been in the past?
So So usually I know like Baha, I believe, is one of the hearing devices that goes like so it's like your cochlea like in the back. So that's like where I think it's the mastoid that is back there that hears that sound. So yes, it's very similar to like a hearing aid kind of. Like if you have a healthy inner ear, so like cochlea, you will more than likely be able to hear with our headphones, even if you have like eardrum and like ear canal damage, if you're deaf in that aspect. So we do have a rather large like deaf, hard of hearing community, and even blind users that use our headphones as well, because, like I said, if they have a healthy inner ear, they can pair it up to like, a phone device, for example, that uses the microphone on the phone to hear the surrounding noise, relay it back to them, all that stuff. So it's a very unique product, and that's not necessarily a market we are going after right now, because we know our headphones need to be kind of more user friendly for them, but that is a direction that we want to go because we care about the community so much and they care about us. So, but yeah, it's a very, very unique experience. It's like almost made for everyone.
It's similar in general concept to, everybody knows that Beethoven was deaf, right? Mm-hmm. And the way that he wrote was by biting his piano. And this does a similar thing. It brings, instead of having the sound come in through a piece that sits in your ear, like my monitors, it sits on or in front of and uses direct vibration to produce the sound. I love that.
That's
Me
cool.
too.
Yeah. Now the one set I got, and I always mix up the different brands, but the one you sent us here has earplugs in it, right? Because obviously, if you plug up your ears when you're listening to it, you get a different sound experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of like we put those in there for two reasons. One, for actual functionality. So if you don't want to hear the world around you, like it will actually like amplify the sound, because if you're like listening to the headphones, you plug your ears. That's like one of our things we do whenever we used to have live shows. You'd be like, put the headphones on, plug your ears, and that's how like you show it's bone conduction. There's no speakers, there's no nothing, and it like intensifies the sound. Everyone's like, their face is like so big, it's like hilarious every single time. They're like, whoa, no way, like how's it working? And I was like, yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's there for that, and then also kind of like to prove that they are bone conduction. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing to include with them. I definitely want to spend time in the booth because I want to see people's face.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we'll have like other users, like other people that just tried them out. Like there'll be like a line of like displays, like POP displays, like trying out our headphones, and there'll be like one person I just told, and like they'll hit the guy next to them, like plug your ears, and they'll do it, and they're like, whoa, and it's like a whole like community thing. I was like, I don't have to do my job anymore. You guys are just doing it for me. I'm sitting back. I can go take a break. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's hilarious. It's a lot of fun. We'll definitely have you in the booth for a little bit. We can test your skills too.
The amazing part too is, like you said, nobody else can hear it. Yeah. Unlike regular headphones where you can hear a little tinny thing on the outside. And that's why Steve was like, what in the world? You can't hear anything coming out of the phones at all, right? Because they're conducting and not anybody else. And it's absolutely brilliant. So it's really amazing.
Yeah. I've got these glasses that have headphones built in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are not this. And yeah, it's like, okay, well, I can hear the music, but so can somebody sitting next to me. So
Mm-hmm.
what if I'm listening to something odd, or I'm on a call, or we're doing, I obviously, with what I do, I deal in a lot of confidential information. I'm on embargoed conversations all the time. I can't have that. I never have to worry about that with these.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's funny you bring up the glasses. I think I know who you're talking about. We actually had, oh gosh, this was 2019, I believe, February 2019 maybe. Maybe it was 2018, but we launched a prototype of sunglasses with bone conduction. So instead of it sitting in the front, it wrapped around the back, kind of like what I'm
That's
wearing.
cool.
There's a transducer on the back. Yeah, it was through like Indiegogo. It went well, but we just wanted to be able to design a better sunglass. So it never actually like hit the market, but who knows? That might change. But yeah, I do know who you're talking about. And yes, same thing. There's definitely some sound leakage because it's a speaker. Yeah, directional speaker instead of
And I also think, sitting on an airplane where everybody's wearing headphones and, you can hear the guys next to you leaking, and all that stuff. And, in that case, you have to wear these and the earplugs so you didn't have to hear them. But
yeah.
Yeah, because being able to hear around you is not always a win.
Exactly. Yeah. I'd like to know more about how the technology has changed in the last couple of years, obviously, because these are so small and so light and really effective. I don't imagine that they were like this. I don't know what you were covering from them in 2012, if it was still bone conducting technology or not. But I don't imagine that the way they look now and the way they work now is how it was even 4 or 5 years ago. So.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good question. So I would say back in 2012, like it's always been like strictly bone conduction. So yeah, from the start basically. But the transducers, like the little vibrator things, they were probably almost 2 times as big as they are now. Maybe 1.5. Yeah, they were pretty big, and they're more like square. So they're like kind of like awkward. So like over the time, we kind of like the engineers kept going back to the drawing board, kind of see how to make the transducers more comfortable while being able to deliver like high quality sound through bone conduction, like as high as we can get it, and then also like more bass and all that. And what we landed on was this more like a little bit of like an oval design, because it actually aligns more with your cheekbone than if we did like the square. They found like doing the square, like some of it wasn't vibrating as much on the cheekbone, but like next to it. Right. So they kind of like made it a little bit longer and like thinner.
They're comfortable. There's no really interesting.
Yeah.
The only thing I've encountered is occasionally if somebody will have an octave in their voice or something, and they'll vibrate a little. Right. That's the only time, and it's only occasion. It's not. I don't have it with music. I only have it when a particular. I haven't even been able to identify what it is. It's a type of voice, or an octave that they hit or something, and they'll feel like they vibrate, and I have to pull them off a little bit or something. Very rarely, but it's only when people are speaking.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and Michelle has made a comment about it too. She's like, "Ooh, I don't like that person."
That's a test, yeah. That's funny. Hopefully my voice isn't doing that to you guys.
No, I was thinking that, but mine doesn't do it to anybody, The bone conductive headphone, personality test or something. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that they do that. So I know, and when it does that, it's really interesting because it's like, what's going on in there? What is that?
Yeah.
So I guess that's the magnets or the transducer itself vibrating. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a wire. So here's a question we kind of get sometimes. It'll go into a little bit more of like the, I guess, structure of the headphone. But some people are asking why we can't make them kind of true wireless. So without that band in the back, it's something that we're working on. But right now there's like wires that run through the back of it that carry like the information basically to go to the magnets and be like, create this sound, produce this sound, and then they'll work together, and that's how it happens. So I guess sometimes whatever, I don't know, decibel, whatever goes through that person's voice goes through the wires, goes into the transducer, and it's like going over time. It starts going like slamming. I'm not sure why, but yeah.
I would be very curious to see if all 3 of us have the same experience on the same octaves. That would be a fun little
Yeah.
experiment to go through, because who knows, right? Because obviously, because of the design, they're going to sit on everybody a little differently. They're up, you know, when you let them do whatever they want, they kind of collapse in. So they do fit tight, not tight, right? But flush on everybody. But they are going to fit a little further forward or a little further back, depending on the size of your head. We may be having the same experience on different octaves based on how they fit.
It's true. It's possible.
That'd be a fun experiment to do.
Well, we'll have to have more people on the show for sure. Test it out.
And luckily now, because your company has helped AMRoC out, we have a supply to be able to do this test in a wider range. Obviously, we aren't the only organization that you work with. When did you guys start doing community stuff?
It's always been something that we've been interested in, for sure. And being back in Syracuse, I guess it was kind of more like locally done as well. Our CMO, Kim Facetta, she's like really big into it. I mean, all of us are, but she's like always making an effort. Like, how can we include more communities? How can we not only like target those communities, but also like just how can we just improve everybody's life? Like, that's always like AfterShokz's mission. That's her mission, just basically from the start. So basically, yeah, I guess since she probably started in like 2014, I'd say.
Okay.
And then we're just increasing it over and over, like especially being in Austin where it is such like a community and more like people are always like giving back here and everything. It definitely like intensified, and the people we hire, it means a lot to them as well. So yeah, we're always reaching out, and your connection was great with Terry and her organization. I told it to the team, everybody was on board immediately. So we were happy to send you guys some of the AMRoC units for sure.
Yeah, and as you can see with Terry, she said she uses it all the time.
Yeah.
Interestingly, she has been using those more frequently than these, simply because of the way they sit and the lack of the microphone. Now, when she does a lot of talking stuff, she uses these, but for just consumption, she absolutely loves those other ones.
That's awesome. Yeah, me too. I definitely switch between the two as well, the AMRoC and the OpenCom. Like, yeah, just as you said, if it's on a phone call, I'll definitely roll with these ones. But if it's just like running, I'm at the gym or just like listening to music in general, cleaning, whatever, yeah, it's definitely AMRoC for sure.
Yeah, I can see that. And, you know, I use these and the other ones all the time. I'm mowing the yard, which I have an electric mower. It's not, they're not, they're great. They're not quite that special where they're noise canceling a lawnmower.
Yeah.
But yeah, I use them all the time, except obviously in here where I can't use Bluetooth, but that's a different, unfortunate issue. One of the things that we were talking about earlier that, you know, we've never had the opportunity to talk about in any real depth is, you know, the difference, and you mentioned it at the beginning, is the difference in these versus anything else for like sensory type things. You know, Terry has talked about this before. She has a lot of trouble finding headphones that work for her. Either, you know, something's in her ears and that bugs her, or over her ears, she feels like she's missing things, or she's losing out on things, or they start to hurt. Is that like a big part of the mission as well?
Yeah. Safety, comfort are definitely most important. And then also just like we always say, like, how can we better people's lives? Like, and that's like, it sounds, I guess, a little bit dramatic, but it's kind of true as well. Like, we want to better their lives through safety, through connectivity, like through like connecting to their world, to everybody around them, to their music, just everything. And that is super important to us. And we're always taking that feedback back to our research and development team. And they're so like, they're so happy that when we do send it to them, because they love the feedback from, you know, the audiences and people that are lucky enough to use our headphones. And we know that it might not be, AfterShokz may not be the best fit for everybody, but we're going to try our hardest to make sure that it is. And, you know, if that's offering like different EQ settings, so the vibration's a little more, like a little softer. So maybe for those that don't, you know, like the vibration as much, or if it's, you know, tweaking with the design, anything of the sort, yeah, we're definitely open to it. But yeah, it's very important to us is the short answer.
That's good. And one of the things that we talked about and that you just touched on there, that we talked about during CES, is that like your support, your external team is very ready to talk. So the general feedback on product seems like it's an important part of the company culture.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, not only like internally, but yeah, just as you said, externally, if it's either through like our rep groups, our partners, like retailers that we work with, customers, anything of the sort. We actually have a hashtag that we use on social media called the Shock Squad. And those are when people like, they'll use the hashtag and they post like a picture of them running or anything of the sort. Like it's kind of like our community hashtag. But we will often post like questions or surveys to like our customers or our Shock Squad through email or through social and ask them like, you know, what's your favorite headphone and why? What could we do to like improve it? What's your favorite color? We're always doing, you know, some testing and getting feedback from like the community and seeing like what, you know, what color, what feature, what, you know, next design is needed. Like what are they asking for? And that's super important to us. Like we're always obviously looking at what they're looking at and then also or what they're looking for and also like what AfterShokz are looking for, and then we try to find like that happy middle. But yeah.
Is that where the open comm came from, since it's a distinctly different product with the dedicated mic and stuff?
Yes, actually. So we had a lot of truck drivers actually, like big like the 18-wheelers. Yeah, and they're all like love the headphones so much, and because I get to connect it with my family, I'm always on the road. The only problem is that our microphone and like the sport headphones kind of pick up in our sport headphone line. I guess they pick up the vibration. There's a running theme here from the engine, I guess. So it like it's a weird like humming noise whenever they're talking to their family.
Yeah.
So what happened? And then also like, you know, some people that are runners and everything like that. I was like, oh, I love the headphones, but I would just love it if they were a little bit better for like, you know, my office work or whatever it is for communication. And especially during COVID, like it was super important to be connected with people, obviously. So yes, all those reasons we put it together. We also saw a good potential for OpenCom as well. So we were like, makes sense for the business, makes sense for the community, makes sense for everybody. We want it, is obviously too, you know, like our engineers are very passionate and they're like, yeah, we want it too. Yeah. So that's how we came to it.
And so for those who are not obviously intimately familiar with the lineup, like obviously you are, and after CES, I am now too. The difference on the OpenCom versus the one that Terry's wearing.
Yeah, the AMRoC. Yeah, so good question. So OpenCom, we basically have like the two headset lines. So we have the sport headphones, which has our entry level Open Move. It's like the elite headphone we call it, is like the middle is called Air, and then we have our flagship, our top of the line AMRoC. That's the one that Terry's using and that we gave to the AMRoC crew and everybody over there. And then we have our communication headphone line, which OpenCom is our first model in there. And that's the one I'm wearing now, obviously, and that one's specifically for communication. So the difference between the two, between our high-end sport in AMRoC and OpenCom, is obviously the boom mic, so for more clear communication, and then also the battery life. So OpenCom will have a quick charge feature where if you charge it for 15 minutes, you get 2 to 4 hours of talk time, which is great, obviously for being on calls all day and everything. And then it also just has a longer lifetime in general. So you get, on a full charge, you get 16 hours of talk time. So basically you only have to charge it like probably have to, if you're on calls all day, probably 2 days. But those are the main differences, is battery and then the microphone. Yeah, and obviously like the fit's a little bit different, but it's primarily the same.
Okay, so your boom mic is your big, like visually is your big difference.
Yeah,
and I've noticed that. Yeah, I only have to charge mine about every other day.
Yeah,
and I like the charger. It's different than, you know, we see a lot of headphones that, you know, charge on USB-C or USB-B micro. this is very different because it's magnetic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where's your charger?
It's like
there it is.
Yeah.
So I love that it just clicks in. You don't even have to like be smart about it. It it does all the work for you and gets it right every time, and you can't get it backwards because it'll basically flip around. What was the thought on doing that versus using something like C or Micro B?
Great question. And we get this one often, so I'm glad you brought it up. So Open Move, so our entry level sport headphone actually does use USB-C. That is something that the community asked for a lot, and this is one where we want to be able to deliver it to them, but our main issue is the waterproof and sweat resistant if we go with a USB-C, because it has to have like some kind of port, either an open port or like a case that kind of goes over it to like protect it from getting into the battery.
Sure.
But with the magnetic charging that both AMRoC and OpenComm use, there's like little prongs, and if those get wet, it doesn't matter. It doesn't go right into the battery, it doesn't damage it, so it has more of a waterproof and sweat-proof functionality to it. And actually, if you go to charge it and if they're wet, the headset should actually vibrate and let you know, like it goes like boop boop, and it vibrates a little bit to let you know, like clean off that port, and you're good to charge it. So the main thing is the water, the waterproofness and the sweat-proof. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, because obviously that's not what USB was designed for.
Yeah, exactly.
Designed for data. The fact that we use it for power at all is
mind-blowing.
Yeah, and probably a little annoying to the USB organization. Like, this is such a powerful connection. You're using it to charge headphones. That's crazy. Okay, so there's obviously some sort of a circuit sensor inside to see that the circuit has been breached, and so it won't access the battery. That I'm learning that now. That's fascinating.
Yeah. That's the I can't take them off. Obviously, you'll lose me. But yeah. Those little like prongs. I think there's like 2 of them. Yeah. If they get wet, it has a little safety thing. Yeah, exactly.
I got your back.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It has a little like safety feature built in. Yeah. It like vibrate and all that. It's like, hey buddy, don't charge me just yet. It might damage the battery. And you wipe it off and you're good to go. Super interesting.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. All right. Very cool. Well, any other interesting features that I don't know about that you want to throw at me? Because I love that.
No, I know it's kind of one that we get asked about USB-C a lot, but it like in like an interview setting, but it's not something I think about like daily. So actually that thought just popped in my head, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Like I sometimes forget some of the cool features that we have to offer, honestly. But no, that's probably mostly it. It can be paired to 2 devices at once. I know some people were asking about that. If you want to be connected to your to your computer and to your phone. If you're listening to music on your phone, you get a phone call on your computer, vice versa, anything like that. It'll switch between the 2. But no, other than that, it's basically just the opening of the technology. Everything we already discussed, but definitely more fun stuff to come.
Well, I look forward to seeing what those new products are going to look like for our audience that is interested in learning more about what you guys are up to. How can they find out more?
You could either follow us on social or visit our website, AfterShokz.com, and on all socials, there it is. There's the website. And then even all of our social channels are also AfterShokz.com, or you could even just message me if you really wanted to. You can go to the chat, you can ask me directly, anything of the sort. But yeah, we'll definitely stay in contact with you and Terry. And, if once the new products come out, and if you're we'll let you guys know. And if your team's interested and the students and everything, we can definitely work on, either hopping on a call or somehow getting the tech over to you guys to try out. But yeah.
Very cool.
This has been great. I even unmuted myself properly this time. A year and a half into this, I'm learning. So this is fantastic. And we're actually getting ready to launch a Young Innovators challenge in partnership with the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame. And the things that we're looking at challenging students to do is to find a problem in their lives, and how would you solve it, right? And I think the headphones, AfterShokz headphones are a really good example of that. Just listening to all the different things they've gone into the design, from the weight and charging and detecting when it's wet, and all that stuff is really cool, because each iteration of it addresses, like you said about the truckers, addresses some challenge that somebody else brought up. And that's fantastic, because how do we, basic old scientific method, right? Keep testing it and improving it. And I think that's fantastic. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, exactly. If we don't want to like make a product to make a new product and kind of have like similar features and make money. We want to, if we create a product, we want it to have a meaning and a purpose and everything. And that's definitely like helpful through our community, through our users, through you guys and in your community as well. Just all the feedback is definitely welcome. And yeah, we'll keep going. We'll keep the innovation alive for sure.
This has been great. We really appreciate your time. I think this has been fun. I think you covered everything. I'm trying to think of anything that we didn't ask. Was there anything we didn't ask you or that we didn't talk about? I think we got everything in there.
No, you guys are great. Yeah, you guys are pros for sure. Appreciate it.
We just like good products, it's true, right? There's so much stuff out there. And one of the things we talk about with the students all the time is, how many times people try to come up with a solution in search of a problem.
Right.
And it works so much better to have something that really addresses issues, that meets needs. Communications is super important. We found that out last year, more than ever, right? We need to have ways to communicate with each other effectively and efficiently, and having
with
a device
quality.
like this with quality. Yep, you can hear things. Exactly.
Because we've all been on that Teams meeting where there's one person whose volume keeps cutting out and you don't know what they're saying. Like, can you get closer? I'm wearing a headset. Oh, not a good one. So yeah, and that can make communication harder rather than easier. So quality is always important.
And the safety part too, because everybody does want to listen to, devices when they're running or, biking and all of that, or, I prefer that they can hear me coming. So,
Yeah. And, in the past, I've always used, our regular viewers will recognize my long-term headphones, right? And, doing this where you've got one side on and one side off makes you look crazy. But it was really, one of the best ways to get the outside sound.
Yeah. It'll be a new tagline.
This is a better solution.
Look less crazy with AfterShokz. You still look crazy, but a little bit less.
If you have hair like mine, it just looks crazy for other reasons that have nothing to do with the headphones. So I can actually disguise a headphone under here. Nobody ever knows. I can go around talking to myself, and people won't actually realize that I'm actually talking to someone. It'll be fascinating. So,
that's a different kind of looking crazy.
That's a different kind of crazy, yeah.
I think she's just talking to herself. That can't be good.
No, there's someone in there, I promise. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's not a better explanation.
But this has been great, Donnie. Thank you so much. Thank you again for the gift of the headsets to FCDI and AMRoC Fab Lab crew. The students who do all the colors interviews, appreciate them. And, we're doing a lot of these types of programs. And certainly when we do Roboticon and the other events, they're really fantastic. So, we're excited about it. It's been really great.
Yeah, for sure. The whole team told me to tell you guys, thanks for the opportunity, and they're so excited for everything. So thanks for having me, honestly. Yeah, Terry, you were great, and we love it. And Scott, always spot on with the interview questions and everything. I really appreciate it.
I have to get you to come to Tampa. You'll have to come to Tampa and visit us.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We'll definitely do it again for sure.
And we'll definitely hang out in Vegas.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
All right. Well, thank you to everybody who joined us for our first Friday at the Fab Lab. This has been great, and we'll probably continue the conversation a little bit more.
Indeed, we will. You are muted there, Terry.
Yes, I am, because I'm new to 2021. That was fun. It was fun to listen to the second time around too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I really like them, which is probably the reason why we've now featured them several times over a decade. But yeah, the technology is super cool. And like Donnie said, he promised us some additional information because obviously our viewers are interested in some technical stuff. And he kind of pointed and talked about the magnets and stuff, but he did send us that video, and I want to start by showing that real quick. If you're watching us, you won't hear us for about a minute, and then we'll come right back. Can I get you to close? All right, so you could see in there, kind of the way it fits, the bits that it touches, where the sound comes from. And for people who are into sound, that that's just what your eardrum does. So it's just bypassing the eardrum and doing the eardrum's job, which I think is a fascinating approach.
It really is. I've heard discussions from different people, right? If you're an audiophile and stuff, it may not have that kind of audio quality for some people that they want to hear with music, right? And that symphonic thing. Yeah, there's probably something to that because it does sound a little bit different, but I am so much more comfortable with them that I can enjoy what I'm listening to better, and I'm getting more enjoyment from it,
And of course, like Donnie said, it's again, it's just replacing the eardrum. So all they have to do is make that artificial eardrum more like the human eardrum, and the sound will sound more like what you're used to.
Right. But it's astounding that it works at all.
In January, we're going to get to see something that he says will bring the sound closer to what we expect.
Yeah, but it's still astounding.
Really
it's still astounding to me that you're picking all that up just from your bones, right? I mean, the ear is an amazing thing, and how we hear is amazing. And I mean, I was actually just reading. It's not your favorite animal, I know, snakes, but they actually listen through bone conduction. They don't really have an ear, right? And so they're picking up, and it was just something was on there. It's like, oh, that's cool. They could use these headphones. But I mean, it's absolutely amazing that you can pick up so much, and that you can process all that in your head, right? So you can wear the headphones, you can hear what's going on, because we talked about that in the interview. You can be listening to a meeting, you can be listening to music. You can still pick up and process the information that's going on somewhere else. Right. And you can parse those things out. Although, even Donnie said, well, it kind of messes with your head a little bit if you got too much going. But two things are fairly comfortable, which is really interesting.
Yeah. And, it's one of the things that when you get into TV production, especially if you work in news, which I did for a while, you have to learn to listen to more than one source at a time and pick it up. So for me, putting these headphones on is pretty natural. It's not nearly as strange as it is for most people. But yeah, I know where that weirdness comes from, but it's not hard. Once you've done it a little bit, like if you're listening to music and then background noise, they're distinct enough that it's easy enough to kind of get used to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's, I mean, from a work perspective, from a working lab like this, where you really do have to pay attention to a lot of things, it's fantastic. It is so nice to be able to, when we're sitting here and we were having the interview yesterday, I could still hear everything. I actually had to excuse myself to go take care of something, right?
That's why you disappeared during the conversation.
Yes, it was. It's like, I hear something and it's not you guys. And I could still hear your conversation as I walked away to check on the other thing. So, really, really nice technology, very lightweight. I love the, learning the different things we learned about it, the charging thing. which I don't think either of us really realized. That's pretty cool.
I knew, so I've still got it here in front of me. So I knew that this is a strange plug, right? This is a bizarre horseshoe looking
got one
weird plug, right? And it couldn't have been on accident. There had to be a reason for it. Otherwise, you use something that's pre-designed, like USB-C, right?
Right. Yeah.
Everything uses C. Old stuff. I'm pointed at the other headphones that I had in the interview. They used micro B. As phones changed, headphones changed too. That's a known quantity. It doesn't require any engineering. So the fact that they went out of their way to do custom engineering was an indication to me that there must be a reason. And I didn't know about this in January because we didn't have the headphones yet.
Right.
So I didn't know to ask him about this. So I'm glad that we got to do.
And that's one of the things we miss one of the things you miss in the virtual stuff, right? Is like you don't get to handle the products right away necessarily or something. But what a cool way to expand on the topic. And when you talk about some of the challenges of COVID, right? And where communications came into it and where the ways that we network and share information. Absolutely amazing that you interviewed him at CES. Right. And we had this conversation with him afterwards about the stuff we're doing, and he got interested and wanted to know more about the Fab Lab. I don't even know if you had this conversation with him, in Las Vegas and then came back and said, oh, I met this cool guy, as opposed to being there for the interview online, even helping out. Absolutely amazing how we were able to take, these relationships and these communications platforms and turn them into resources for the Fab Lab, new relationships, learning about the technologies, getting some educational stuff out of it. Absolutely amazing how that transmits and shares and moves around. For sure. And this isn't exactly on topic, but it's on the conversation. Entrepreneurship is a big part of AMRoC. We have a lot of people who are getting into business for the first time. Recommendation number one, if you're going for an interview and you have a physical product, bring it with you. Because if we had been sitting, on the tower at the Sands, and he showed up and he handed me these headphones, and anybody who's watched our in-first interviews knows I will take it and I will inspect it while I am talking, while they are talking. And one of the first things I would have done is explain this, please. Because it's unusual, and unusual things are either poor design or purposeful design. And again, we've known them for almost a decade now. They don't do anything on accident. No, that was interesting too about the product itself. Every part of it has, is intentional, right? There's nothing real. There's nothing excessive in there. It's really, really fascinating that it's from the weight and the configuration of it and the way you wear it, and the charging, every part of it is really, really cool. And there's so much of that everything is purposeful, that it took until now for them to release this headset with a dedicated communication mic on it. Yeah, that's my favorite. That's fantastic. Yeah, I know, because it wasn't part of what they were up to. And so they didn't spend the time to put, a thing in that wasn't necessary for the mission. Right. And we talk about that with the entrepreneurship program. Like you said, it's like, you need to be able to pivot. You need to be able to follow your customer. Right. And if you've got a product and you're, and as we work with our early stage entrepreneurs, it's like, oh, I've got the best thing since sliced bread. Okay, let's see if everybody else agrees. Right. And then what if somebody... Your excitement is not enough. Right. And what if they like it? Go, wow, this would be so much better if it had this. Yep. Right. And then you need to be able to embrace that idea, even if that wasn't something you wanted to do. But I think that's fascinating. We're actually doing, getting ready to run we'll be putting some more information out about this Young Innovators competition in partnership with the Florida Inventors Hall of Fame. And the way we're running this is it's very simple, right? We're asking students, and it's for, we have two age groups, 8 to 12 and 13 and up. What bugs you? What problem do you face all the time Right? We don't get away from this creating a solution in search of a problem, right? What is a real problem in your life, and how would you approach it if you had no limitations, right? Cost wasn't an issue. Well, how would you approach it? And then is it a problem for other people, right? And so they, addressed a specific client originally with this, right? It was people exercising, right? You're running, you're at the
Particularly
gym.
running on the street.
Yep.
It was a very targeted demographic. It was people who were jogging or running on a sidewalk on a public road.
Yeah. Or bike riding too is another one too. But
I mean, they went after a very narrow market and then discovered that the demand for it was much bigger.
Yeah.
And so they've spent the last decade, expanding and looking, how can we solve these other problems? We talk a lot about CES, but one of our other shows that we've done a lot was Collision. We haven't done it in a couple of years, but we had a catchphrase for that convention, and it was, the best ideas come from things that suck. And that's exactly what you're talking about. What bugs you? What's a problem that you experience in your everyday life, or in your, even if it's once a month, if it's once a quarter? Obviously children don't think in quarters, but and then how would you approach that? That's literally, that's the theme of
problem solving 101.
Of conferences like Collision or Inno, or at CES, directly below our broadcast tower is Eureka Park, which is the same general idea. So, and I love to ask that question. Oh, where are you stationed? Oh, you're in Eureka Park? Great. Where did the idea come from? Because very clearly something affected you. I want the backer story. Yeah.
And most things come out of that. So I think this is great. I really appreciate the time you took to share with us, and the gift of the headsets. So we'll be using those for the colors interview with the students who are doing some of those, which you're going to be doing in the next couple weeks, I guess. And we got a really special one coming up. I did hear back from our student interviewer, and she is in fact able to do the interview. So we're going to be doing some fun interviews coming up, and we'll be announcing those soon. But they're coming in really handy for all of that. So we're really excited to be able to offer that, and give students that. And as a thank you too for the volunteers that do so much. We have a lot of people who do so much here, and it's amazing how many people keep turning out to help out, like Donnie and AfterShokz. So exciting stuff.
But of course, this is not the last of our first Friday. Eventually, we don't know when, but eventually we will start doing them in person again. But like you and I talked about yesterday, we do not intend on getting rid of the virtual aspect of it. We do like the ability for people outside of our direct physical circle to be able to participate, though we will have some things that will be special for in person when we get there. But we've got some potential really great guests over the next couple of months.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. That'll be great. Looking forward to those.
The one that we don't know when it'll happen. I don't know exactly which month it'll be, but I do know our good friend Gary from Heart Hero will be speaking, and that he's such a good guy. That'll
be fun. That's great.
So stay tuned to the Facebook page.
Yep. And follow along. We'll put some more content up about the headsets and some of the, I think we'll post that video that you showed, that brief piece on, and some other stuff. And thank you, Donnie and AfterShokz, for being our speaker this month. And check out the website, AMRoCTampaBay.com, for a whole month of making. We've got some really cool stuff. Just got Mosey on the calendar. They're going to do a Rube Goldberg contraption activity for kids on the calendar. I think we have May 25th. We've got Haddo Open Play every Saturday from 3 to 7 p.m. You can come and check out Augmented Reality Dodgeball. And we've got a whole bunch of really cool stuff. So, check out the website and the calendar. And you're doing great stuff with Plug Hits. You've got your show on Sundays at 9. You do some other stuff too, if you want to share those.
Yeah, not this Sunday because it's Mother's Day, but
that's correct.
Tonight in about an hour, I've got GNC Week in Review at gncweekly.com. Normally Sunday nights at 9 p.m. So that's 8 p.m. Eastern, because not everybody's watching this live. That's 8 p.m. Eastern on Friday. Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern is F5 Live Refreshing Technology with myself and Avram Pilch from Tom's Hardware. But again, not this Sunday because it's Mother's Day. And this is a lot of people's first opportunity to spend time with their families again. So take that opportunity.
That's it. Exactly. So thank you, Scott. And thank you, Donnie. And thank you to everybody who watched and everybody who will watch. So y'all have a great evening.